This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring a discussion on Infinity Forum 2.0, leveraging Fintech sector for inclusive growth. The participants are Sharad Kohli, economic analyst, and Omvesh Upadhyay, anchor.
Today, we will delve into the transformative realm of financial technology or Fintech, exploring its pivotal role in fostering inclusive growth. Listeners, as we navigate through this dynamic landscape, we will uncover how Fintech innovations are breaking down traditional barriers, empowering individuals, and propelling economic inclusivity. And today, to talk on this, we are joined by economic analyst Mr. Sharad Kohli. Welcome to the program, Mr. Kohli.
Good evening to all the listeners of Akashvani.
So, Mr. Kohli, to begin the discussion, I would like to get an overview from your side that if you look in the recent years, how has the fintech sector in India evolved and what role has it played in driving economic growth?
Well, I think fintech sector has been revolutionary in this country because I remember a few years ago when, for example, UPI came, the unified payment interface. There were a lot of people who were raising questions that how can all the bank accounts be linked? How can all the accounts be linked? How can you make payment from one bank account to the other? And we were talking in an era when, checks were being issued. And I remember intercity checks used to take 1 week, sometimes fortnight. A local check also used to take 2 to 3 days for payment being transferred from one bank to the other. This was on the banks. Well, when it comes to the vendors, people making payments to each other, vendors making payment to their customers and so on and so forth. I mean, the traditional ways of making a demand draft or a pay order, or at the most using a debit card or a credit card was in use. So suddenly when UPI came, there were a lot of eyebrows raised and a lot of questions raised to how this new system can probably take place of the traditional ways. How can this be faster? How will this be understood by people? How would the linking of the various banks be done? How safe would this be? How would people use it? I mean, there were dozens of questions which were there in people's mind. And then what happened thereafter, as they say, is history. Because the way transformation happened, and today, as we talk, I have the data for October because we are not too far into December. About 1,141 crore transactions were made across the country through UPI, amounting to more than 17 lakh crores per month. I call this as revolutionary. I call this as magical. Today, if you ask anybody, do you know what is UPI? They will say, oh yes, they'll open their phone and they can tell you what UPI is all about. Wallets which are connected to UPI, when wallets came, they were doing their own business. People used to park their money in wallets and suddenly, the wallets became, any wallet and you can make a payment from your bank to any bank in a matter of seconds. There are no holidays. There are no banking hours. You can do it at any time, at place where you desire. All you need is a smartphone and internet connectivity. I think this has been the magic and the way this has propelled financial technology in the country. I think a lot of countries around the world have to take a lesson from us. And I was, involved some way in witnessing what was happening in G20. A lot of nations, when they came here, I remember the most talked about issue was fintech, that what has India done so magical in fintech that today some of the most developed countries around the world have not been able to do. And look at the size of our country, 1.42 billion people across Assam to, run of Kutch in Gujarat. I think it has just transformed the whole business system. Today, QR codes is like child's play. This has contributed substantially to growth of the nation. The growth of the country has been propelled by fintech technology. I think fintech has actually done a lot of good. So which is why Prime Minister in his address at the Infinity 2.0 forum, he clearly said, economic policies when they are based on the benefit of the citizens, on the welfare of Aam Aadmi, I think they show results. They result in economic growth. They culminate into a successful policies.
Indeed, Mr. Kohli, and you very beautifully described how UPI has revolutionized digital payment system in India. So how do you see government policy and regulation influencing the development and expansion of fintech services in India, and how significantly it has regulated the development and expansion of fintech services?
See, for a revolution of this size and scale to take place, I think it cannot happen without government support. It cannot happen without favorable government policies. Fintech startups have done wonders. If today, these wallets are working, if today the interfaces through National Payment Corporation are working, it is all because of the support and the policies of the government. So the government policies, I would say, have been the fulcrum of this entire revolution. And, a very important case and point is on the occasion we are talking today. We are talking on the occasion GIFT 2.0
Infinity 2.0 is happening at Gift City in Ahmedabad. That itself, I remember when Prime Minister was the Chief Minister of Gujarat a number of years back. He had dreamt of this, he had conceptualized this, and I heard that in Chief Minister's speech also, that the Prime Minister then, once he became the PM, he started working on this. There was a team working on it, and today, as we speak, International Financial Services Center Authority, IFSCA I call it, is a reality. And today, that is the gateway actually to the fintech, not just in the country, around the world. And a classic example is, today we have something called Gift Nifty, people who follow stock markets. We used to have SGX Nifty earlier, where the Indian stock markets used to take cues. The Nifty was traded in Singapore. Now, ever after Gift City has come up, or International Financial Services Center Authority has come up, Gift Nifty is today traded, and Indian stock markets, they take cues from Gift Nifty when the markets open in the morning at 9:50 in the National Stock Exchange and the Bombay Stock Exchange. I think, as Prime Minister rightly said, this whole IFSCA is going to be a kind of a laboratory for development of fintech products, for promotion of fintech products, for inviting the world to participate in this growth and development.
You talked about the Infinity Forum 2.0. Speaking at the event, Prime Minister Modi highlighted India's impressive 7.7% GDP growth in the first 6 months of the current fiscal year. He credited the success to country's strengthening economy and the transformative reforms. So now, Mr. Kohli, when we look at the Indian market, what notable trends or emerging technologies within the fintech sector we witness that we believe will have a significant impact on inclusive growth in the near future? How do you see it?
Well, I think the entire fintech sector, the way it stands today, has become a huge asset for the country. Because if we take, as I gave example of the UPI platform, UPI platform itself, as I said, it's causing a wave in the world of business, in the world of banking, in the world of finance. That itself has been revolutionary. Apart from this, you go to development of these wallets, whether we talk of CBDC, the central bank digital currency, which is now very much in vogue. It was started for wholesale earlier. Now it is available for retail. Both me and you, any citizen of the country can approach their bank and have a CBDC wallet. So we might see phasing out of gradually the paper and the coin currency in the times to come. And where the result of that is visible, I think this will be very important for the listeners of Akashvani to know that there is something called CIC. We call it as currency in circulation. At this point of time, as we talk, the currency in circulation is somewhere around 33.5 lakh crores. And for the last 2 months, when we talk of September and October, for the first time, I witnessed currency in circulation going down. Now, this is currency in circulation going down normally, under normal circumstances, would be treated as something which is not a very, very favorable thing to look at. But in our case, it's a result of favorable government policies because we are using so much of UPI. The usage of cash is gradually coming down. Today, a small vendor on the roadside, a small rickshaw puller, a small stall in probably corner of a city, they all have QR codes and they are frequently using these QR codes to make the payment. So the need of cash is gradually coming down. So that is a classic example of how cash is coming down. And in a country like India, where thousands and thousands of villages spread across the country, we have people who may not have the best of literacy. In this kind of scenario, if we are able to propel this fintech, I think it's a very, very creditable achievement. And I feel that government's policy have been completely responsible for this. I appreciate the role of National Payment Corporation of India, who has played a very key role in developing this UPI. And today, UPI is no more a complicated technology. So I personally envisage that fintech has not just developed financial technology, but it has also eased out financial technology. And we've been speaking about financial literacy all through. We know that we talk of financial literacy, that we know that everyone in this country is not financially literate. You don't know how to save. You don't know how to make payments. You don't know how to do banking. Of course, basic things, no. So I think that is where things like JAM, I call it as Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile, JAM, they have played a very important role. And financial inclusiveness has been a result of fintech. If today more and more people are getting benefits of government schemes, it is because of the Jan Dhan accounts, 50 crore plus accounts in Jan Dhan, practically every citizen in the country having Aadhaar, over 70 crore or 75 crore smartphones in people's hands. I think this has been causing the revolution. And for the people who do not have smartphones, fintech has ensured that even if you have an analog phone, a traditional phone, you can still avail benefits of so many benefits of government schemes. I mean, today, if money is remitted to Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme into the bank accounts of farmers, and if that farmer doesn't have a smartphone, he will still get a message on his analog phone and he will be able to know his bank balance that the money has landed. So it's a press of a button. Government is able to reach millions and millions of people at one go. I think that has been the magic of financial inclusiveness. That has been the magic of financial technology. These are only some of the examples where government has very successfully leveraged the advantages and merits of fintech.
Mr. Kohli, if we look at Prime Minister's address today, he also called for expert insights into developing a market mechanism for green credit. So, for our listeners, can you please share what is green credit and how important it is?
Well, at the COP28, when the Prime Minister attended this summit in Dubai, I think there was a lot of discussion, there was a lot of pressure on India about fossil fuels. And India, as we all know, made it stand very clear that we are a developing economy and we are bound to reduce or bring the country to zero carbon. But for that, support of global community is needed. The developed nations have to come forward. Prime Minister also said in the Infinity 2.0 scheme that we need about $10 trillion to be coming from the global community to be able to finance and to be able to transform this entire fossil fuel usage to a zero carbon technology. So he said, let's launch green credits, green bonds. So he has solicited, the community in Infinity 2.0 that there are experts sitting there, a lot of financial experts sitting there, that you come forward and tell us a mechanism through which we can trade these green credits. Because at the end of the day, if a country earns so many green credits, and if I have excessive green credits, we can trade it with each other. They can be traded between the corporates. They can be traded between the institutions. So I think Prime Minister has solicited from the experts that come forward, give your suggestions on the mechanism how these green credits can be traded, a market mechanism where they can be traded. Because if the more green credits get traded, the more inspirational it would be for the institutions, for the countries, for the companies who have been contributing to pollution or not so environment friendly measures. So they will come forward and motivated by green credits, they will be able to transform their technology to a more environment friendly technology. So he was very clear on that if we have to launch green bonds, if we have to trade on green credits, I think we need a market mechanism. And that's when he said that GIFT can play a very, very important role, or the experts who are on the panel of GIFT, they can play a very, very important role in terms of providing a market mechanism. He also referred, allow me to mention here, that there are 80 funds at this moment who are connected to GIFT, or IFSCI, as I said, International Financial Services Center Authority. And today, $24 billion worth of funds being managed by these 80 fund managers are today being connected in some way or the other with the GIFT City, which is a huge achievement.
As we are entering the concluding stage of our program, in very brief, that what role the public and private sectors can play in fostering a supportive environment for the growth of fintech industry in India, in very brief.
I think India is world's third largest startup ecosystem after America and China. And, we have some brilliant startup brains. So I would like to solicit through your program today, people who are listening to Akashvani today, I would like to solicit that when you're planning your startup, please do consider fintech. And that's where private sector can play a role. The private sector companies, private sector startups, they have been instrumental already in developing a major part of the fintech that we are currently using. And we can never say that we are now at the nadir, that we are at the end of the road, we have developed all the fintech possible. That's definitely not the case. This is an evolving technology. Just like information technology, just like, space science, this is evolving. So there is never an end. So nobody can say that I have now developed a wallet, I have developed a UPI, so this is the end of the story. Only today I came to know that the stock exchanges are now working at T+1 settlement, which is you buy shares today and you will be able to do T+1. They are on T+1 and they are working on T+0, which means you buy from stock exchange and the same day the stocks reach your account and you get the payment. And probably in a year from now, it will be an instant payment that you buy shares in the payment. So I think this is all a result of evolving fintech. So I think nobody should assume that fintech has reached its ultimate and there is no more development possible. The role of private entrepreneurs and the role of government as an enabler is very promising and it's ongoing. So therefore, I feel there's a lot to be done and there's a very big opportunity for fintech startups to come forward and probably not only make money for themselves, but provide service to the nation as well.
On that note, with your insightful inputs, we conclude the program. Thank you so much, Mr. Kohli, for joining us today on Akashvani.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Infinity Forum 2.0, Leveraging Fintech Sector for Inclusive Growth. The participants were Sharad Kohli, Economic Analyst, and Omvesh Upadhyay, Anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.